Building a stronger economy requires export orientation. We are a small country with 20 million people. There is very little we can do selling within our own market. We want our people to have a better lifestyle. What would have happened to us if we didn't have the apparel industry? If we didn't sell our tea? If we didn't sell our rubber? If we didn't sell our coconut? Do you think we can even have this lifestyle? Or for that matter, even to have a Hilton hotel? So, a stronger economy is export oriented. And that has been the policy of this government. Our heritage is one of an exporting nation. Whether Anuradhapura was the capital, whether Polonnaru was the capital, whether Damadeniya was the capital, or whether Kotte was the capital, we were an exporter nation. Even the landlocked Candian kingdom exported its cinnamon. Just some of the best in the world. All we are trying to do to win back that heritage. That is the aim of this government. Do so would be to give our people a better lifestyle, better income, and jobs for school. That can create economic framework will not change. It requires the consensus by all political parties to run a stable economy. And that has been our main. The challenge is to describe in one word, enormous. Because what we are trying to do is to move out of the dualist system of export market, of export economy and a domestic economy into combining both. We have exporters, people who export out, and those who only produce for the domestic market. Now, there are some services which can be limited to a domestic market. Originally, it was said that electricity and telecoms were actually domestic market enterprises. Even today, there are successful companies which are now gone out for power generation. And similarly, whether it be telecom, whether it be transport, people have moved. So there actually globalization has meant that this distinction has expansion. And freer trade has meant that Asia has developed. How did Japan develop? Devastated after World War II with 2 atomic bombs. How did Korea develop? Devastated by a 40-year war. How did China develop? Because they went out into the global market. To do so, all of us have to become exporters or become competitive. All of us must not have a distinction between the domestic market and the export market. Maybe that some of us, our business will be mainly or 100% domestic market. For some it will be exports, but look, there can't be a distinction. So there are a large number of people who don't realize that they're actually helping our export economy. So what we are doing, what our task is first to ensure that we don't have the dualist economy. But that also means that we also have to realize that our strength lies in becoming competitive. What we have to do is to become competitive. Sri Lanka, we have to become more and more competitive. It also means in time to come, the salaries will have to increase. But as remuneration increases, you have to increase productivity. Both those are linked. Productivity and remuneration are linked. What we want to do to go into a framework, realizing that our per capita GDP and our and actual home incomes will be increasing. Therefore, it means that we have to be more competitive. And as I said again, we have to go up the value chain. And we also got to create our own value chain. That is the fundamental, the bedrock of our policy. Secondly, in doing so, we have to create the markets for you. So we are back again. We have obtained the GSP Plus. We are now negotiating with India to be spread over and China. Those are agreements that will be spread over a period of time. And with India, emphasis is on the non-tariff barriers. And we are not in any way including professional services in such exercise. What does it mean? We're the 2 largest markets in the world and the richest market in the world. Addition to the FTA with Singapore and some other FTAs we've been negotiating. But it also means we have to do this over a period of time. We can't have disruption. We know we have domestic manufacturers and we want to have a trade adjustment package to help them over the period to become competitive. Then you cannot be a competitive nation if you have a high level of debt. We were at a time when the government came in, our revenue was less than our debt service. Today our revenue is more than debt service. But remember, we still have to borrow. But we want to encourage more investments and increase exports so that we can repay the debt and our balance of payments will get into a surplus. That won't happen in the next till 2020, but we are laying the foundation for it to happen after. So one is encouraging Sri Lankan exporters, encouraging domestic market-oriented enterprises become competitive, and the third is foreign direct investment. Next 3 years, we'll see at the moment $4 billion worth of investments coming into Sri Lanka. That's we are counting from the Asian country, the major Asian country. Hambantota Harbour will will come under the new joint venture management by November, and the Mattala Airport will come under joint management again by end of the year. What have we got? We have 3 good harbours, 2 good airports in the middle of the Indian Ocean, which is becoming a fast-growing region. Not in the Indian Ocean. Remember, all that traffic, all the sea-going traffic between Europe and East Asia has to go through. And here we are at the center of it. So let's become the hub of the Indian Ocean. Become a platform for competitive value addition. Become a logistics center. That's what we laid the groundwork in the last 2 years. It's been a difficult period, and I think we held together. We have stabilized the economy. We are utilizing our strategic location, and we have planned a series of new infrastructure development. Without connectivity, without infrastructure, we cannot develop. So that we have from Kandy to Hambantota, we have the infrastructure in place. We will most probably identify about 15 to 20,000 acres to come under manufacture as industrial estate. From Paranthan all the way to Munnagal, in Kurunagal, in Kalutara, in Matara. We have identified so far about another 5 to 6,000 acres for tourism. Large resorts of even 800 acres to plots of land of 10 acres. Heritage building. That's the spade work we have been doing. Then come to policies. I must tell you that we had a very successful meeting with the gem dealers yesterday. Successful from their point of view and successful from our point of view. Then the Minister of Finance for Development Strategy, myself, my deputy, among the others, who had, I think, we spent about 3 hours today discussing the budget and how we can encourage more exports from Sri Lanka. Ease of doing business is now being tackled by a group of task force, and they are making satisfactory progress. I think that will be announced. Part of the progress we have made, not objectives, I know you know objectives, will be announced by November. The trade facilitation is going on. I've asked them about the progress being made. It's being followed up. Once in 2 weeks, we are following up on the work that's done. There's a backlog to be covered. We are even considering bringing an ease of doing business law, so that in one law we can make all the amendments to the laws that are required. Development special provision law has been redrafted and a new one will be presented. So this is basically some of the policy decisions we have taken. Next issue that we are tackling is how can we release more resources to the private sector so the interest rates will come down. We are looking at inflation being gradually brought under about 5% by early part of next year, and the tax incentive. Considering the debt burden we have and the repayment we have to make, it's surprising that we could even give tax concessions. But we gave the incentives. From tax holidays, we've come to specified amounts, 200%, 300%, the system of incentives. Therefore, the building blocks are in place. We have more to do. But now we are passing the challenge on from the government to the private sector. We still have to encourage and promote foreign investments to come into. We couldn't have done it 2 years ago. The environment wasn't there, facility wasn't there. But it's so now. Most of the policy changes are taking place, and we are working at seeing a full export-oriented economy coming into being by 2019. Many of the measures will be announced by the Minister of Finance in his budget. It's still under discussion. But we know the path we are taking. It's export orientation, it's competitiveness, and it's benefit for the people. That we can get the economy on track and ensure that Sri Lanka regains its heritage as an export economy.